something crazy happened these past couple of days, something that I didn't expect. And what I'm about to be talking about right now has nothing to do with hip hop. It is something that I just grew up with as a child. And I got to show my condolences and respect to this person because this person meant a lot to me growing up. And I'm almost getting watery-eyed just talking about it. Akira Toriyama passed away at the age of 68. If you don't know who Akira Toriyama is, he's a Japanese manga writer, creator, drawer, whatever the correct term is. And he's responsible for creating Dragon Ball. Now, he's done a lot of huge things. Like he created Dr. Slump, created Dragon Quest, created a lot of different stuff. But he's mostly known for Dragon Ball and then eventually Dragon Ball Z and then eventually Dragon Ball Super and then this upcoming series, Dragon Ball Daima, however you pronounce it. This is the last, from what we know, is the last series he's actually worked on while he's alive. I don't know if he's got anything else that he had under the works that he never revealed, but Dama, I believe that's how you pronounce it, Daima, is the last Dragon Ball type series that we're going to get from him since, he was alive. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I not saying Dragon Ball GT? Well, he had nothing to do with Dragon Ball GT, but he still respected it and loved it regardless. He just had nothing to do with it. So that's why I didn't mention Dragon Ball GT. But if you don't know what Dragon Ball Z is, then obviously, I think you've been living under a rock because Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z broke cultural barriers. Like, everybody in the world knows. Like, Goku might be one of the most famous characters of all time. I'm willing to bet that with quite a. I think everybody knows who Goku is at this point. Even people who've never watched the show at least know Goku. So he created it. He did it really out of spite. He needed some money. Decided to enter. If you don't know what Shonen Jump is, it's a popular manga magazine in Japan. It's popular here too, and it's it's spread throughout. But that platform was doing a contest, and they were offering money, and whoever got first place wins the money. Unfortunately, he got last place. He entered again in a different contest, got last place, and because he placed last, as if his work was just the worst, that fueled him. That got him so angry that he decided to prove people wrong, and decided to create. I believe Dr. Slump was the first cartoon series, whatever he created, and that was a huge success. Then eventually went on to Dragon Ball, and then eventually Dragon Ball Z, so on and so forth, and lots of other things in between. I don't know his history perfectly, but I know that's how a lot of these things started with his career. So him passing away brought tears in my eyes because this guy, shaped my childhood. And I said this on Twitter. We came to America in 1999, and by basically 2001, we started getting familiar with like American culture and what kind of cartoons people watch, and it took a little while, but we got adjusted to a lot of stuff. We didn't have cable though. That's the thing. We had cable on and off. So my parents, we couldn't really afford it. So we had it on and off. And then there would be times where we had cable. We could watch the things that we wanted to watch. Sometimes we wouldn't. But then some things would be free even without cable. Like you would have the WB, I think it was called at the time. Now it's called like the CW, but 4Kids TV and all that other stuff. Fox Kids and all those free channels that had a bunch of cartoons. So that was cool. But Dragon Ball Z was unfortunately on a cable platform, Cartoon Network. You had to pay for that. So sometimes I would get to watch, sometimes I wouldn't. I want to tell you guys two major memories that I have of Dragon Ball Z. There's a lot, but these are the main ones that pop in my head. My brother's friend was into Dragon Ball Z before us because he had cable. He actually got a chance to watch it. We didn't. We would have to go to his house to watch it. But I remember first time getting introduced to Dragon Ball Z. Now, why I remember this so vividly is because my brother's friend got into an accident. So he was laying in bed, like pretty much, all bandaged up. Like he looked like he just got burned alive, like basically. He was in a bad accident. He didn't get burned alive, but he just broken arms, broken whatever the hell. And he was laying in the bed. That's the first time we saw him. So I remember that vividly. And I remember him laying in bed watching Dragon Ball Z. And this was around the time when Trunks first gets introduced. So he comes in, Trunks comes in all cool, destroys Frieza in seconds. I don't remember which exact episode we were watching at that moment, but I do remember it was around that Trunks when he came, first on Earth and, started, having back and forth with Frieza, destroying his father, all that stuff. I just remember being the entrance was so cool. I was like, what is this? Who is this guy? What is this show? Seeing Goku. Remember the intro where Goku stands in the middle and everybody's around him. He turns Super Saiyan. Like, all that stuff was just so cool. And, my friend told my brother about it, and my brother was like, wow, this is amazing. I think my brother already knew. I could be wrong. But I remember him telling, about Trunks and, all these characters and how amazing it is. And then every time we would try to go to his house to watch it because we wouldn't have cable. And then sometimes when we did have cable, we did catch up on some episodes, but it was really on and off. And that's why I started falling in love with the show. And I think Dragon Ball Z influenced me just as much as G-Unit did, because it was G-Unit and Dragon Ball Z. It was 50 Cent, Banks, Buck, G-Unit, blah, 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 G-Unit, yelling that shit out 24/7. And then it was Dragon Ball Z. Like, those are the two things I remember very vividly, like, just going crazy over. Like, music, hip-hop, obviously, in general, but anime and cartoons in general. But mainly those two were, like, my number ones. So the other memory that I have, there's quite a few of them, but the other memory I have, which was funny, is that we were in the 4th grade at this time. I was in the 4th grade, and we were playing a game of, what is it called? I think it's called charades. Yeah, charades, where you have to guess what the person, what the thing is by, like, saying the things surrounding it, I guess, or, like, saying the things that are close to it. Like, let's just say you have toothbrush, right? You say, use this thing to brush, to clean your teeth. You don't say brush teeth because that's in the actual title of the word. But you just say you use this thing to clean your teeth. It goes with fluoride or whatever, not toothpaste. I don't think you can be able to say that. But regardless, you say things that are close to it, right? And then the person has to guess what it is. So we were playing that charades. Sorry, I'm like losing my voice here. We're playing charades, and the reward was, hey, it was basically practicing for a quiz that we had, but the reward was we get candy if we win. And being my luck, my shitty luck, I was the last one to go, and it was a tie game. So at this point, I was like, okay, if I lose this, they win. If I get this, we win. So it's really that simple. And if you guys know the Piccolo flute, there's a flute called Piccolo. And if you know in Dragon Ball Z, the green character, Piccolo, that's his name. Namekian. Anyways, I know a lot about Dragon Ball Z. I'm watching actually Dragon Ball right now, but I remember my friend turning around and was like, okay. He just straight up looked at me and was like, the green guy in Dragon Ball Z. Off the rip, I knew Piccolo. I was like, Piccolo. And boom. Everybody's like, yeah. You nailed it, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's happy. They got candy. The other losing team was mad. But that literally saved, me from losing that game, which was a huge memory. I don't know why. It's like a memory that I have vividly. My friend turning around saying the green guy in Dragon Ball Z. I was like, okay, that's Piccolo. I mean, what else? Who else is? Obviously, there's Namekians. I could have said Namekian, but Piccolo is the thing, and you only had a few guesses, so I'm glad that he said that. But that's how close I was to Dragon Ball Z, and everybody knew how much I loved Dragon Ball Z. And yeah, I mean, it's not just me though. Like, all of the world grew up on Dragon Ball Z. If you were a '90s kid, you pretty much grew up on Dragon Ball Z, and a lot of different shows as well too. I mean, there's a lot of amazing shows. But yeah, and then I just remember we would get cable sometimes, and there would be a lot of reruns of the Boo Saga. And I would end up grabbing a cassette and recording each episode that would come because I would want to watch it later on, not knowing that now in 2024 we have streaming and we can literally watch any episode we want. But back then I would record them on tapes, buy new tapes, try to buy new tapes so I can record them. Sometimes I would find VHS episodes of Dragon Ball Z for sale. I remember, there would be a lot of different types of, and I would end up buying them. And you could, on the VHS tapes, you could like pack them all together to make like an image if you had like one saga and stuff. So there's just a lot of stuff, man, that I remember. I still have the Dragon Ball Z cards from when I was a kid. And I still buy some of the Dragon Ball Super cards that come out because my Dragon Ball Z cards, certain ones are worth a shit ton of money. I've completed all of the Babidi Saga limited and unlimited set. And I looked up a limited set and an unlimited set, and they're like the whole set's going for like $10,000. One card's like $3,000. It's an ultra rare that I have. And I'm just leaving them. I'm never going to sell them unless, God forbid, I end up in like financial hardship and I have to sell them. That's probably like one of the things that I would have to sell. But, they're just there. And I remember collecting them throughout the years and just never selling them. I never played the game because it's so difficult to understand. I mainly play Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I just love the Yu-Gi-Oh! Itself. But Yeah, man. Sorry for going on this insane rant, but this guy means a lot to me and means a lot to the world. And if you look online, there was all love and praise. Globally, we're talking presidents of different places. We're talking leaders of different places praising him, showing love. China, which is like insane. The fact that they acknowledged him, even the Japanese. It's insane. This guy did something that like, and he was so humble and so honest that he talks about his writing process and how much he procrastinated, and he wasn't this like, people have this thing with a lot of hard workers and people that make it successful that they constantly work 24/7. But especially as a creative, and I've learned this, and I'm glad that I saw this with Akira Toriyama and his writing process, is that sometimes procrastinating is how you get creative ideas. That's what happened with me with the Give Rich or Die Trying documentary. There would be literally weeks that would go on where I just couldn't work on it. Just nothing was coming to my head of what to do on this part and how do I mix this with this? Because you have to come up with a lot of ideas of how to execute certain things so they flow well. And it wasn't coming to my brain. So then procrastination, just not working on it and just kind of getting away from hip hop related stuff. I did that for like 2 weeks. And then finally one night, I just sat down at night at the computer and just everything started flowing. Within a week, I pretty much completed the documentary. It was like insane. But knowing that he had that same type of process, he had that same type of thing where like he would procrastinate and do things last minute like me, it makes me feel good about my process, how I do things. I always, in my mind, I used to always think, oh, people will work hard every day and they just on it every day. Nah. I mean, sometimes you just got to, unplug and, procrastinate pretty much. Nothing wrong with procrastinating here and there, as long as you're not doing it to the point where it's affecting you completely in everything that you're doing. But procrastination, there's nothing wrong with that. But seeing that and then just seeing how humble he is as a creator, you got to ask the question that if you were to be reincarnated, like, what would you be reincarnated by? Like if you were to die and come back, what would you come back as and what would you do? He was like, same thing I'm doing right now, but better, way better than what I do. So he looked at his work as not that great, and that's pretty much a lot of people that are creatives. That's how they, view things. They want it to be perfect. I have my moments where I want things to be perfect. Even the Give Rich or Die Trying documentary, there are moments where I'm not happy with it. Actually, there's a moment that I upload, like the full thing uploaded, that I noticed last minute after the upload, and it pissed me off. But since the time was coming, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to live with it and let it be a thing that reminds me of not to fuck up ever again. And if you guys look at the Give Rich documentary, there's a part where Red Spider's talking. I think it's Red Spider or Rockweiler. And the DM Originals logo is like on the other side because I had messed around with where to place it. And unfortunately, I didn't switch that clip to where to place it. So like if you watched the Give Rich, I'm sure people probably didn't notice or didn't even give a shit. But to me, it pissed me off that like it wasn't in the same spot for every clip. Like, anyways, that's just small things like that just make me so mad that I'm like, why did I fuck this up? I just like beat myself up over it. But yeah, I just wanted to give my condolences to Akira Toriyama, his family, friends. He inspired me, inspired the world. This guy is somebody that did something that only a few select human beings on Earth will ever do, and that's transcend cultures. He is a Michael Jackson level. Like, he transcended cultures. He is not just, he wasn't stuck in this one thing. Everybody in the world knew about him, loved him. I actually had him on my podcast list of people to interview. That, like, if it was my dream list of people that outside of hip hop, who would I love to interview? Inside of hip hop, I had DMX on there. He passed away, unfortunately, so I can't do that. Outside of hip hop, I did have Akira Toriyama, but it's unfortunate. I won't get to interview him because he's gone now. So, but yeah, I just wanted to give respects to him. I know somebody wanted me to do a Dragon Ball Z documentary. This is why I think documentaries are important, guys, because people pass away. And we rarely got any interview clips from Akira Toriyama, anything. Like, it would have been amazing to get a 40-year anniversary Dragon Ball Z documentary. Like, it's been, or 25-year anniversary documentary, 30-year of Akira Toriyama talking and all the voice actors. And, but I don't think we'll ever get that. I don't know. Maybe they're working on behind the scenes because the 40-year anniversary is coming up. But, I wish I would have loved to do that. Like, I would have loved to make a documentary talking to all of them, sitting down with them, talking about everything that they've gone through, the hell and the good, the bad, everything. I don't know. That's why I think documentaries are important. That's why that I made the Get Rich one, and if I get blessed to do more in the future like that Get Rich one where I get to travel and actually talk to people in person, I would love to do it. So, yeah, rest in peace to Akira Toriyama, man. Legend. We appreciate you for all the hard work and never giving up. He did pass away too from, and this is usually from hard work, actually, from stress too. It could potentially happen. The statement said the cause was acute subdural hematoma, a condition in which blood collects between the skull and the brain. It did not say where Mr. Toriyama died. So he did, when the news finally got out, was like a lot later. He died like March 1st instead of like when it got out. I think it got out like March 4th, 5th, 6th, something like that. So, but yeah, this guy is legend, man. There's nothing more I can say about this guy. There's not much you can put into words of how great he is. So he influenced, oh my God, all these other shows that you're seeing after all got influenced by him. I mean, they all came out and said Bleach, One Piece, Naruto, whatever, any anime or anything, even not just anime, man. It transcended into hip hop, transcended to everything. So much respects to him, man.